Notice is hereby given of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield in the County of Union, New Jersey at 6:30 p.m. on the evening of Tuesday, June 27th, 2023, in Cafeteria B of Westfield High School, 550 Dorian Road, Westfield, New Jersey. The Board will move immediately into private session to discuss matters rendered confidential by state and federal law, including legal and personnel matters. The public portion of the meeting will resume at 7 p.m. The purpose of the meeting is to transact the regular business of the Board and to transact any other business to come properly before the Board. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board on Thursday, June 22nd, 2023, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, the Star Ledger, the Westfield Library, Town Clerk of Westfield, Tap Into Westfield, and Patch.com, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Patty, can we have a roll call?
Sahar Aziz.
Here.
Rob Bonaccio.
Here.
Kent Diamond.
Here.
Brendan Galligan. Charles Gelinas.
Here.
Leila Morelli.
Here.
Sonal Patel.
Here.
Kristen Sonic Schmeltz. Mary Wickens.
Here. I ask the Board to approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education move into private session for the purpose of discussing matters rendered confidential by state and federal law, including the superintendent, evaluation, and legal matters, and be it further resolved that any discussion held by the Board which need not remain confidential, and the results of the discussion will be made public as soon as practicable. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you, Kent. All in favor, say, raise your hand. Okay. Okay. We are now in private session. Thank you for waiting for us to come back from executive session. It is with both pleasure and regret that I begin tonight with recognition of Board Student Representative Patrick Lanza. We are so pleased and proud to have Patrick join us at the board table for each meeting, and we are equally sorry to see him go. We wish him well as he begins an exciting new chapter in his life. On behalf of the entire Board of Education, I will read this resolution recognizing Patrick for his service before asking him to join us on stage for a photograph. Resolution by the Board of Education of Westfield, New Jersey, Patrick Lanza, November 2022 through June 2023. Whereas Patrick Lanza was appointed in November 2022 to serve as the first student representative of the Westfield Board of Education, and whereas as student representative Patrick Lanza has championed the many activities and achievements at Westfield High School while providing thorough reports at each Board of Education meeting, and whereas Patrick Lanza has remained committed to ensuring that the voices of all students are heard, and whereas as Westfield High School Student Government President and a 4-year member of the Student Government Association, Patrick Lanza has proven to be a knowledgeable and dedicated leader, and whereas Patrick Lanza will continue his education at Boston College, now therefore be it resolved that this Board of Education recognizes Patrick Lanza for his volunteerism and service on the Westfield Board of Education. And be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Patrick Lanza on June 27, 2023, and that a copy of this resolution attesting to the appreciation of the Board of Education becomes part of the official minutes of this meeting. Congratulations, Patrick. Okay. Okay, can you please come up for a photo with the full board? Okay. Again, Patrick, we wish you all the best at Boston College and beyond. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I would just want to thank you guys all so much. It's been a great year. I would also want to thank Dr. Gonzalez for bringing me on this year. When he asked me if I wanted to do this, I was a little hesitant. I knew these meetings can get a little heated sometimes, but I'm really happy I chose to do this, and I hope I was able to offer you guys some insight into how the students view some of the decisions that the board makes and how some of the decisions affect the students. So I just want to thank you guys again so much. It really has been so much fun being on this board.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to say something as well? Any board members? Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, I have to speak, being his, next door neighbor around the table. But I was just very impressed with you, Pat, every week being so prepared, with your speeches, and being able to hear the students' point of view had a really great impact on some of the decisions that we've made and some of the things that we've had to think about. They usually don't get a voice, so it's nice that they chose you to have this position, and you did such a great job, and we wish you the best of luck.
Go, sir.
Go ahead, Sahar.
Thank you. Patrick, thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday evenings when you had a lot of homework. We pride ourselves in a robust education. But I hope that this experience makes you want to do public service throughout your life, whether as an elected official or an appointed civilian or any other capacity. But you're right, some of the meetings get heated, but this is what democracy looks like. And so I think it's been exciting, at least for me, to be able to have the next generation, one member of the next generation of leaders with us. And thanks for the insights that you brought, and I hope you continue to do so when you go to college. Good luck.
Go ahead, Brendan.
Thank you. Patrick, the student representative is a position we've been talking about since before I got on the board. And then I got elected, and they're like, oh, you're young enough, that counts. And then it sort of disappeared for 5 or 6 years. And then my connection to the high school got further and further apart. And I've been out 15 years now, so I don't have that perspective. So when the opportunity, even though it was mandated by the state, came around where we were going to have a student representative, it was exciting. And I'm glad you were able to stick it out through those heated meetings. We know you have better things to do. I mean, you're in this building every day to learn. You have sports practices. There are things that were in your schedule that you had to accommodate our meetings for. So thank you for your dedication and being at, I believe, every meeting since you were appointed to the position. So thank you, and good luck next year.
Thanks, Brendan. Rob?
Sure. So we saw this part of sort of Patrick's work here, but I was the liaison to the high school PTSO. And Patrick was at every single one of those meetings as well, coming with the student government advisors and the class advisors and bringing, I mean, we got a good overview of all the things that Patrick was looking for and the information that he was bringing that were concerns of students. But to hear everything he was doing on a daily basis, the time spent on everything from just, overall student concerns to levels of minutia that my guess is you kind of wish you didn't have to deal with. He attended those meetings and had he always had something to contribute, and you really couldn't tell if you looked around and said, well, who around this table is a student versus who around this table is not. You wouldn't have been able to tell the difference because everything was so well prepared, was thought out, was poised, and was just was just brought to collaborate. So whatever you choose to get involved in, you've already got that level of experience, I think, and just an understanding of how to make boards like that work. So congratulations on that as well. This work was fantastic, but there was just so much that gets put on your shoulders in the roles that you were in, and I want to make sure that was recognized as well.
Thanks, Rob. Layla, sorry.
So last night, is this working since I'm not allowed to touch it? Yeah. Okay. So last night, I had a visit with a college counselor, and she was talking about a student she'd had in the past who, was a very high achieving student, was like student body president, and, he was an athlete and all this stuff. And she's like, looking at him on paper before I met him, I was like, oh, this is not going to be such a nice kid. That's what the student counselor was telling me. And she's like, and then I met him, and he was great. He was kind. He was just everything you'd want. He was a well-rounded kid. And my daughter's like, oh, she's going to say, just like Pat Lanza. And that's what I said. I think it's really important. Your education's important, and, having your social life and all of that is important, but treating everyone well is something I see in you, and I think you were raised well, and I think that it's an honor to see someone who is in the in crowd, so to speak, or whatever, who does so well, who also treats everyone so well. So I'm impressed, and that doesn't happen often. So thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
Thank you again, Patrick. Congratulations. Okay, and next we'll hear the report by Dr. Gonzalez. Yep. Sorry, we're skipped announcements. Mary, do you have any announcements? Kent?
I do. Thank you. Congratulations to Edison 7th grader Jasmine Perrin, who was selected as the New Jersey State Merit Winner for the 2023 3M Young Scientist Challenge, a nationwide project-based science competition. created in the Gifted Education Inventions elective course, Jasmine's project, entitled Solar Roadways and Energy Trappers, won her recognition as a top entry among all other submissions in New Jersey. Congratulations, Jasmine.
Sure. I have two tonight. The first, the Westfield Recreation Department has released its catalog of programs for summer 2023. More information, including how to register, is available at www.westfieldnj.gov/recreation, or you can email recreation@westfieldnj.gov with any questions. And secondly, the Paper Mill Playhouse has awarded one staff member and two students with the Rising Star Awards for their work in the Westfield High School spring production of Sunday in the Park with George. Stage manager Ryan Carlin and music director Sophie Havens received the Student Achievement Awards. Choral director John Brzezowski received the award for Outstanding Achievement in Musical Direction. Congratulations to Ryan, Sophie, and Mr. Brzezowski on this special honor.
Thanks, Brendan. CJ?
I don't think I have any today.
Zahar?
For a second consecutive year, Westfield High School has received the Group 4 ShopRite Cup, a prestigious recognition that is awarded annually at the end of the school year to the top athletic programs in New Jersey in each of 4 public school groups and 2 non-public school groups. Congratulations to all our student athletes, coaches, and the entire athletics department. And for those who celebrate, I want to wish everyone a Eid Mubarak, which is tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Zahar. Layla?
Congratulations to fourth grader Christian Kukaro and fifth grader Logan Chen, who were national student winners in the Pythagorean division of the Continental Mathematics League's competition. The Pythagorean division requires participating students with above average reading comprehension and analytical reasoning capabilities to complete in 5 proctored meets with 6 questions per meet. Participants have 30 minutes to complete all 6 questions per meet and must work independently. Christian and Logan earned perfect scores on all 3 questions and are ranked as the top scoring students in their grade levels nationwide.
Thanks, Layla. Rob?
The next regular public meeting of the Board of Education will be on Tuesday, August 29th in Cafeteria B at Westfield High School, beginning at 7 p.m. The meeting will be live streamed via the district YouTube channel, which viewers can access on the Board tab on the district website. The complete agenda will be available on Friday, August 25th, also on the Board tab.
Okay, I think that takes care of all the announcements. So now we can turn it over to Dr. Gonzalez for his report.
Yes, I'm going to keep my comments brief this evening, beginning with highlighting that after almost a year-long process, the Board of Education will be voting on the goals and objectives of the district's 5-year strategic plan that had been presented at our last board meeting. The strategic plan goals and objectives represent our pathway forward in 5 key areas, including student learning, wellness, diversity, equity, inclusion, community engagement, and finance and facilities. Once approved, the work to develop the associated outcomes, action items, and timelines will continue through the summer with the administration for review and approval by the Board of Education as we enter the next school year. I want to thank all of those who contributed to the development of these goals, as well as to everyone who provided their feedback since the goals and objectives were most recently presented. I'm excited at the prospects of what's in store for the Westfield Public Schools in the years to come. And then last but not least, I'd like to congratulate all of our students who celebrated milestones over the last couple of weeks, especially our graduates. I want to wish our class of 2023 the best of luck as they move on to the next leg of life's journey. And to everyone else, happy summer.
Okay, next we'll move on to board committee reports. Curriculum, instruction, and program. Rob?
Sure. The Curriculum Committee has not met since our last board meeting 2 weeks ago. The only thing up on the agenda for approval today are the second readings of the courses that we described at the past meeting and an additional field trip, I believe.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Brendan, finance and facilities, or Kent, I'm not sure. Brendan?
Yep. So the Finance and Facilities Committee met last Friday. We discussed, as always, how the budget projections are looking for this current year and the next budget cycle. On this agenda tonight, we have a resolution authorizing the transfer, or a transfer up to a maximum amount of funds into our reserve accounts. This is a standard motion we have every year. It allows us that once the books are audited, us to put surplus money. The state reduced the amount of surplus we're allowed to have from 4% during COVID down to 2%. So we know there's at least that 2% that's going to get moved into our reserve accounts. There will be more once all of our bills are paid. It takes 2 or 3 months from the close of the fiscal year on June 30th to get all the final invoices. It's normal and expected. So we can't give an exact dollar amount as to what that transfer will look like, but we authorize Patty to move up to a maximum amount, and we do this every year. It's always larger than we will do. So it's not, I don't have the number in front of me right now, but it's a number that's larger than we have in our accounts. It's not money we have sloshing around. So yeah, it just authorizes Patty to do what she needs to do. We also discussed the Lincoln playground and soil updates. They're going to be doing some remediation this summer, and at the field that was part of the town that's now back to our property next to Lincoln School. Very minor remediation, remove some soil, fill in the hole. That's the end of it. Some areas will be paved over. It's going to start capping. All of that is within DEP and EPA requirements. We started the construction on the Roosevelt facade this week. Scaffolding's been around the building for a while now, but this week you can see demolition occurring. So we've started phase 1 of what will be a multi-year process to restore the Roosevelt facade to its current design with strength behind it. Lastly, RFPs. We've started the RFP process for an architect. The committee met last week or earlier this week and reduced the number of respondents down to a finalist pool, which we'll interview in person on Monday, July 10th. Looking forward to appointing a new district architect of record at our August board meeting. We've also gone through the RFP process for medical services and are appointing district physicians tonight. One for sports physicals and the other just as our board physician. And that is it for now. I'll call out gifts later.
Thank you, Brendan. Layla?
There's no report tonight, and I'll just be asking us to approve the policy that we introduced for first reading last time about our one-to-one tech, and we will probably just be meeting in September.
Brendan, just a quick question.
Absolutely.
Can you confirm that the various resolutions that relate to the co-ops, these are the resolutions we pass every year, or is there any differences? There's a cooperative purchasing agreement, there's cooperative insurance.
Those
Yeah.
are just
Those are all the
regular,
standard?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
so there's no
So we're
changes.
renewing the insurance as we do every year, and then the other ones are just, we renew cooperatives with, if we're buying certain items through cooperatives, we just put them on an agenda every single month. So,
Yeah. We regularly add new co-ops that we join to save a little bit of money on something.
there's only one new one we're joining on this one, it's Bergen County. The rest we've been in, we're just adding the vendors for what we're purchasing. We just
And the
keep
vast
adding them on.
majority have no fee at all. It's pure
Yes.
savings to
Bergen
us.
County has no fee.
Yeah. There's a couple that do. I forget exactly which ones they are. But whenever we're adding a new one, it's because it's free and will save us money.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize the public on agenda action items only. During this portion of the meeting, district residents and staff are invited to address the Board of Education on agendas action items only. The board requests that individuals state their name and address for the record, the specific action item they are commenting on, and asks that all remarks be directed to the board president or designee. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding personnel matters are discouraged and cannot be responded to by the board. Students, employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comment made by members of the public. If a matter concerning a district staff member is of interest or concern to a resident, the matter should be referred to the responsible building principal, superintendent of schools, or the Board of Education, either by telephone, letter, or email. Although the board may not respond to items raised during the public forum, all public comments will be considered. Please note that if any member of the public becomes disruptive during the meeting, the board president may terminate the participant's statement. Continued disruptions may result in removal from the meeting or adjournment of the meeting. Each speaker's statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. Mr.
Test. Kyle George, 605 Short Hills Court. I want to comment on the finance agenda on the reserve and cash accounts. I noticed that there's $18 million in a cash account. A very simple question, is that in an interest-bearing account? Right now you can get 4.5% interest rate on the market. That's nothing to ignore on that type of cash. So just want to ask about that. I also noticed that on governance item number C, I believe it's, or not number, letter C, I believe that was inserted. It wasn't there last night, but I just noticed that it was just inserted. So didn't really have a chance to prepare detailed remarks, but that's the goals. It's inserted at the last minute. I know they were discussed previously, but these goals, while interesting, they are not SMART goals. I've talked about this before. They're not specific. They're not measurable. They're not actionable. Most critically, they're not measurable. I don't see how you're going to actually measure your progress. You want to have a way that you can actually measure goals. These might be like North Stars, if you've ever heard of that in the goal-making methodology, North Star goals, but they are not actual. They're not actually measurable goals. I've spoken about this before, and I see we're still producing goals like this. Also, as a courtesy, fair warning, I plan on addressing Mr. Gelinas' letter very bluntly in the second comment period, so if any children are in the audience, I'd like to be respectful of their innocence and give them or their parents the opportunity to have them leave the room. Fair warning. Thank you.
I can address the interest-bearing question. There is, at the end, okay.
Okay, it doesn't look like there's any other public comments, so I'd like to, this time, close public session. I'd like to,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So the accounts are interest-bearing, and that is part of the money that we're looking to move into the reserve accounts at the end of this year, because we didn't anticipate interest rates being what they are. We are getting over 4% interest. It was close to 5%. It has come down a little bit, but we are earning more interest than we anticipated. And again, we're not budgeting that going forward. We don't know where everything's going to happen, but we will be able to put that into reserves at year end.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to approve the June 13th, 2023 board meeting minutes and executive session minutes. Thank you, Leila.
That's an all in favor.
All in favor,
Well,
raise
no,
your
there's
hand.
a second. There's a second and then all in favor.
Leila second, and all in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we can move on to board action agenda. Rob, if you could, governance?
Sure, I'd like to move governance items A through C. A being a decision on HIB incidents, B being the approval of an agreement between the Westfield Association of Administrators and Supervisors for July 1st, 23 through June 27, and C, the 23-28 strategic planning goals and objectives. Have a second?
Second?
Brendan? Any discussion?
Yeah. I'd just like to address item B. the agreement between the Board of Ed and the Westfield Association of Administrators, or School Administrators, WAAS. The board committee and the associations committee met several times and negotiated a contract which was unanimously approved by their association, and I expect will be approved by us tonight. And I just want to thank their team, Tom Patterson, Matt Bolton, Tiffany Jacobson, and Marius Fendis, for the hours they put in helping us reach a quick and amicable agreement. I also want to thank our team, Rob, Kristen, Kent, and myself, along with the staff that we could not do without. Patty, thank you for the hours of crunching numbers, figuring out what we could afford, what we couldn't, and really every time there was a new proposal, how we could make it work. Barbara, this is the last time I get to address you at a board meeting. The hours and hours that you put in getting to know your staff and knowing what makes them tick and helping us get across the finish line is just, it's incalculable, the benefit and value that that provided to our negotiation. And I just want to thank you for the years you've given to Westfield and the mentorship you've given me.
So I'm also going to step in on the agreement as a member of the committee. In my other life, I've been part of a number of labor negotiations, and I have to echo Brendan's comments. And for purposes of the public, to understand just a little bit of what these negotiations are like, sometimes you go into these negotiations and a bargaining unit has champagne wishes, caviar dreams, and unrealistic expectations, and they come in about themselves and what they're going to do. And to a certain extent, that's required by law, right? It's your job as the head of a bargaining unit. There's a level of fiduciary responsibility where you are absolutely there to negotiate on behalf of your members. But the discussions for this agreement began with an understanding on both ends that, everyone needs to do what's best on either side. The main focus of the negotiations and what needed to come out was what was going to benefit the students. And that was made clear by everyone involved in the negotiations on the administrator side. And each time, certain proposals were discussed, certain items were brought up. Yes, it was the idea of how do we make it work, but it was also the discussion of how is this going to help the district and how is this going to lay some benefit to students. And I'll take some discussions over stipends for taking classes to improve education. The question wasn't, I just want to get my, my degrees up so I can get the dollar amounts up. It was, what am I going to take so that the experience that we provide to students here is going to be that much better? And when you start at that point from a negotiation, and I don't want to say everybody rolled over either, because that wasn't where we are either. But it makes compromise on the difficult points that much easier, because as you butt heads on those points where you need to compromise, if you can focus on a joint goal, it just makes that path to where it is easier. So, like I said, I've been involved in a number of these things, and this was easier, not because of the subject matter necessarily, but just because folks came in with the right attitude, and that was from our students. So I was very happy to see that on the agreement end.
Yeah, just to build off that, typically, we come in at a low number, the association comes in at a high number, and we meet in the middle. This time, both associations took the approach of coming in with a reasonable ask, not posturing, and getting to a quick solution around the important things. And then we could figure out the smaller dollar amounts separately. And we made it work. And it was one of the most pleasant negotiations I've been on. I think I've done all of the associations 3 times, if not 4 times at this point. It was one of the most amicable, solution-oriented negotiations I've ever seen. So thank you to the WAAS.
Thank you both. Patty, can we have a vote?
Sahar Aziz,
Yes.
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes, it's
Brendan
abstain from
Galligan?
A. Sorry.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes to all.
Charles Delinas,
Yes.
Leila Morelli,
Yes.
Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic-Schmelz, Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay, Mary, can you, personnel?
Thanks. I'd like to move items A to CC under the personnel section of tonight's agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kent. Any discussion or comments?
Okay, great. Patty, can we have a vote?
Sahar Aziz,
Yes.
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Charles Jelinas,
Yes.
Leila Morelli, Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic-Schmelz, Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay, Finance and Facilities, Brendan?
Yep. I ask the board to approve finance and facilities items A through EE. Can I have a second? Thank you, Leila. I just want to before we vote, I want to quickly call out and thank a couple of groups for their donations. I want to thank the Rotary Club of Westfield for their donation of $500 to help fund outdoor learning and gardening efforts at Jefferson Elementary School. Again, the Rotary Club for $500 to assist community service clubs at Edison Intermediate School. Again, the Rotary Club of Westfield for $500 to assist Helping Hands and other community service clubs at Roosevelt Intermediate School. The Westfield Coalition of the Arts for $200 towards the purchase of a sewing machine for the Edison Intermediate School. Westfield Coalition of the Arts for $250 towards the purchase of repair parts for a kiln at Edison Intermediate School. The Washington Elementary School PTO for $6,100 to purchase 7 new picnic table benches for Washington Elementary School. The Lincoln Early Childhood Center PTO for $37,539 to purchase for the purchase and installation of new playground equipment. And the Wilson Elementary School PTO for $314.55 to purchase books for the Wilson Elementary School Library. I say it every time, but thank you to the Coalition of the Arts and the Rotary Club and our PTOs for these extra budgetary purchases. We could not do what these donations are covering out of our regular budget, and it goes directly to the students. So thank you again to our clubs in town for their continued support.
Thank you, Brendan.
Any
for-
other questions?
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that item V, we're simply approving the submission of these grants, is that correct?
That's correct.
Which
We're
hopefully we'll get.
required to put this on an agenda before we can submit the grant applications.
And we find out presumably next fall or next spring whether we get them.
Oh, no, we get them. This is just, it's part of
It's
the
procedural.
practice. Yeah, it's
Ah.
procedural.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
That's
I
why
mean,
it's
we
very
don't-
specific dollar amounts. We already know what
We
we're
would
gonna
actually
get.
have to decline them in order to not get them, which we will not be doing.
So we'd have to take board action on it regardless.
So this is from, when you say public and non-public, you're talking about from the public means from the state or the federal government?
Public means for our funding, the non-public is for the non-public schools residing in Westfield. We also handle the flow-through funding to them.
Yeah, we're a feed-through entity for private schools.
But the funds are from the government?
Yes, the funds are from the government. We just manage it for them,
Yeah, IDEA grants are federal grants, correct?
correct? That funnel through the state. Same with the E ESEA.
Right, and then they funnel through us to our schools or private schools.
Thank you, Brendan, for pointing out those generous donations. Patty, can we have a vote?
Sahar Aziz,
Yes.
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Charles Jelinas. the policy section of tonight's agenda, school district provided technology devices to students. Do I have a second? Kent? No?
I just want to note what I noted before, and just my point of disagreement is debate and economics.
This is policies.
We're not curriculum?
No.
Oh, sorry, I'm too late.
Okay. Any policy questions, discussion? Okay, can we have a vote?
Can we have a vote?
Sahar Aziz,
Yes.
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Charles Jelinas,
Yes.
Leila Morelli, Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic-Schmelz, Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Rob, curriculum?
Sure, I'd like to move curriculum items A and B for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Brandon? Now you're on.
Thank you. I just want to highlight the point I made at the last meeting. First is that I fully support a gifted program, though I do think that ours is not as comprehensive or robust as it should be. So hopefully we can, through our strategic plan, implement one or expand it. But I just want to point out that under debate, economics, and inventions, that again, my position is that you don't necessarily have to be gifted, at least based on an IQ test, in order to have those classes available. And I do hope that our district is able to provide these types of challenging classes to our high-achieving students who may not meet the IQ test for the gifted program, but are certainly capable in terms of academic performance to have these types of classes available to them. Thank you.
Patty, can we have?
Or comment, I should say. I
So
just
go
want
ahead.
to thank publicly Dr. Matt Murray, who ran the last couple curriculum meetings as he sits as superintendent. I thank him for his guidance, his leadership, and his patience in answering all of our questions. He was really good. Since he won't be here when we're back in August. I just want to publicly acknowledge and thank him for his service. And Matt, we look forward to working with you.
Can we have a vote?
Sahar Aziz,
Yes.
Rob Bonaccia,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Charles Jelinas,
Yes.
Layla Morelli, Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic-Schmeltz, Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay, I'd just like to acknowledge notes for the record. Any unfinished business? New business? Liaison reports? Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize the public for comments. During this portion of the meeting, members of the public are invited to address the Board of Education on any topic. The board requests that individuals state their name and address for the record and asks that all remarks be directed to the board president. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding personnel matters are discouraged and cannot be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. If a matter concerning a district staff member is of interest or concern to a resident, the matter should be referred to the responsible building principal, superintendent of schools, or the Board of Education, either by telephone, letter, or email. Although the board may not respond to items raised during the public forum, all public comments will be considered. Please note that if any member of the public becomes disruptive during the meeting, the board president may terminate the participant's statement. Continued disruptions may result in removal from the meeting or adjournment of the meeting. Each speaker's statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration.
Emily Barker, 434 Longfellow Avenue. I'm here to talk about the letter to the editor in Tap Into by a new member of the Westfield Board of Ed. I find it interesting that this new member started his letter with the words ethical drift, as this letter, the way it was written and signed, is unethical according to the New Jersey State Board of Education Member Code of Conduct. Any member of the New Jersey State Board of Education publishing an opinion on social media or elsewhere would need a disclaimer saying that this is his or her personal opinion, and that does not reflect the opinion of the, in this case, Westfield Board of Ed. As for the contents of the letter, it's a very strong effort by this Board of Ed member to alienate a large percentage of the parents in the Westfield community. I wonder what the motivation is behind that when he just officially started on the board. Why would this member feel so negatively about the community he supposedly ran to represent? Why suggest that there be surveillance of parents who disagree with his views? This member is tainting the image of the Westfield Board of Ed. I trust the rest of the board, the superintendent, and the district lawyer will set this member straight. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Kyle George, 605 Short Hills Court. When I first raised the issues with Mrs. Z's media activity over a year ago, I promised multiple times that I'd be up here again if any other BOE member's media activity ever warranted it. I'm here today to make good on that promise. On June 23rd, Mr. Gelinas published a letter in Tap Into Westfield entitled Remaining Vigilant in the Fight for LGBTQ plus Rights. He published it without the disclaimer required by policy and with the byline of Charles Gelinas, member of the Westfield Board of Education. This is in clear violation of Policy 0146, which requires disclaimers on all media activity like this. Before I continue, let me be crystal clear. I 100% support gay rights. I have gay friends and family whom I respect and love unequivocally. While Mr. Gelinas' letter is written under the guise of LGBTQ rights, its contents are not about those rights at all. Instead, this letter is Mr. Gelinas' anti-parental rights manifesto, apparently published on behalf of the BOE. He says that parents who advocate for, quote, so-called parents' rights, end quote, are immoral and don't believe in fairness, equality, or justice and are a, quote, ugly, thoughtless breed of operatives, end quote. Quote, the real issue for me isn't a debate on the merits. There are no merits. Every single person in this country knows the harm, the hurt of these negative proposals, end quote, he says. He spends half of the letter telling everyone how they should think and asserting that they're stupid if they don't agree with him. Mr. Gelinas knows all. There's no room for debate with him. What got Mr. Gelinas so riled up? Well, he is just beside himself that another school board in New Jersey passed a parental notification policy that informs parents of material changes related to their child, like if their children are expressing sexuality or gender identity issues at school. To Mr. Gelinas, this idea of telling parents about their children is, quote, hateful screed, end quote, and parents who want to know what's going on in their kids' school lives are a, quote, danger in our school district, end quote. Quote, what end is ever justified by harming children, end quote, he says. Exactly, Mr. Gelinas. It seems like he supports the erosion of parental-child trust, which is harmful. I entrust my kids to the school system from 8 to 3 every day, but they are my kids, not the state's. It's worth pointing out that eroding parental trust is a common predatory tactic. Mr. Gelinas ends his letter by telling the public to stay vigilant and to come to him or another, quote, trusted member of the BOE if you see this phenomenon, end quote, of parental rights start to occur. That's a pledge to take private action. I'm here today to say that I support parental rights. So now is the time to reveal who's on the BOE's anti-parental rights secret police force. This letter is tantamount to psychological warfare, intended to have a chilling effect, unless it compromises the board, is likely an ethics violation, and must be repudiated by the BOE right now. The only, quote, ethical drift, end quote, as he said, is coming from him by publishing this letter. And the fact that Mr. Gelinas republished it at 5:30 p.m. today with a disclaimer doesn't change any of this.
Hi, my name's Jill Baker Vogel. I live in Florida now, but I've been a resident and or worked in and around Westfield for about 45 years. I was really excited to raise my kids here, where I grew up. I was the 8th generation of my family. They would have been the 9th. It started in kindergarten with Our Skin book, where they first started getting attacked, and then it went downhill from there. And so we eventually left and moved to Florida. I just want to say that, you know, I wasn't really planning on coming to this meeting, but I read the article in Tap Into, and it just was really upsetting to see that a new board member had written such an article attacking parental rights in this community and in New Jersey. I'm just going to read some of the things out of so these are just random lines in the article. School boards, parents, and an ugly breed of political operatives. In another section, and interposing so-called parents' rights. I didn't realize that parents' rights were so-called. I thought that they were given to parents. They're not your children, they're our children. They'll never be your children, and we're entrusting all of you to take care of our children for us. He obviously was upset about a parental notification of material circumstances act from another district. Let's see. Yet they continue to peddle cheap, hurtful proposals like the parental notification of material circumstances Why push such snake oil on the public? Achieving the stated goals of a parental notification policy or other hateful screed is only a secondary consideration for proponents. I want to encourage students, parents, and other community members to not hesitate in coming to me or any other trusted member of the Board of Ed. I honestly would say that I wouldn't want my kids to come anywhere near some of you on this Board of Ed. I've already said a lot to you over the years about my feelings about what you're bringing into the schools. I don't appreciate the anti-Semitism. I've called some of you predators. I think if you're not actively protecting children, then you're doing harm to children. I want to say I really hope that with Rob and Sonal at the lead, that you guys can bring the integrity back to the school board that has been missing. I hope that the parents can continue to trust in you, and I had a message to the Westfield parents too, to start speaking up. They shame you and they silence you, everybody, that when you speak up for protecting your kids, and they hope that you stay silent, and it works for a lot of parents, but it doesn't work for many, and the worse that it gets, the more parents have to speak up to start protecting their own children. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other comments, this closes public session. I'd like to read a statement. In accordance with Board Policy 5756, the Westfield Board of Education is committed to providing a safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environment for all students. This board and the district administration, in regular consultation with our board attorney, abide by all laws and statutes, including the New Jersey law against discrimination, which makes it unlawful for schools to subject individuals to differential treatment based on gender identity or expression. Further, Board Policy 9400 states that the superintendent is the chief spokesperson for the Westfield Public School District. Staff members or board members making statements to the media without the express authority of this Board of Education or the superintendent are speaking or voicing their own opinions as private citizens. Such statements to the media are not made on behalf of the Westfield Board of Education or the Westfield Public School District. Thank you.
And Sonal, if I may? Thank you. First, I'd like to thank Sonal and Rob both, as our president and vice president of this board, for reminding me of the importance and the ethical obligation of noting my individual capacity when providing an opinion in a public forum. For making that the mistake of not doing so, and it is certainly just a mistake on my part, which has been addressed, as has been noted, I would like to apologize to every member of the board and to the Westfield community at large for any confusion and inconvenience this may have caused. I would like to reaffirm what Sonal has said in her statement. However, I would note that I have a mandate for the Westfield community at large to air truths as they arise when the protection of social emotional health, physical safety, and educational careers of our students may be in jeopardy, even if at some future time, and even if solely in my personal capacity as a private citizen. I think we all would like to avoid T.S. Eliot's admonition where the world is ending not with a bang but with a whimper. Silence is not the solution here. So to the community at large, please rest assured that I will continue to assert truths as they arise, where they matter, even just as a private citizen, and do anything else in my power, limited as it may be, to provide any assistance or protection to Westfield's most precious resource, which is our kids. Thank you.
Sonal, if I could make one comment? CJ, as the board member that you knew first, before you even got elected, I want to apologize for not mapping out some of these road landmines you have to navigate as a board member. Typically, we do trainings, and there's a new board member institute for board members run by the School Boards Association. That's on the November election cycle, so it did not happen yet. These are trainings you'll go through. We will have in-house professional development as a board over the next year. I mean, we do every year. We have something leading up to a couple board meetings throughout the year where we learn something, whether it's a change in law or how to navigate social media or letters to the editor. So I apologize to you, and I want to take some responsibility for not telling you what you need to do or who you need to talk to before you do something like write a letter to the editor. It's something that a board member doesn't, you shouldn't know this innately. Somebody needs to tell you, and we didn't do it.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate the statement, but it's not necessary. It's very kind. It's just it's a genuine mistake, and it's been addressed as best as I can. Yeah, and I've been talking to the NJSBA about the appropriate courses. But thank you. I appreciate that.
So I just want to note for the record that, when somebody's elected to the school board, they don't lose their First Amendment rights. Thankfully, the Constitution applies to everyone equally, regardless of their political viewpoints. And when a single board member exercises his or her First Amendment rights or engages with Westfield residents, whether in writing or orally, I certainly do not presume that that person represents my views. I'm an adult. I think for myself. I speak for myself. And where I may disagree with certain views and certain positions of various members on the school board, I do not expect them to have to tell everyone, by the way, this doesn't represent the entire school board. Now, of course, when policy requires that you put that in writing, then, of course, you must adhere to that policy. But my point is that I think it is unreasonable to assume that every time Kent speaks, or Mary speaks, or Sonal speaks, or Rob, or Brendan, or Layla, or CJ, that they represent 9 individual, independent-minded, critically thinking elected officials. So I just want to make sure that there's no chilling effect when parents come and defame school board members, often by name, simply because they disagree with their viewpoints, when that should not chill elected officials from engaging as citizens and as elected officials. And in fact, we shouldn't all agree. I hope we don't all agree on everything, because we're here to disagree and debate civilly, because Westfield is a diverse community with diversity in terms of identity, lived experiences, and political viewpoints. So I just wanted to highlight that. And of course, we always welcome parents coming and speaking their views. And sometimes, they're reasonable, credible arguments, and sometimes they're not. But this is what democracy looks like. And so, CJ, thank you for engaging, regardless whether I may agree with you or not. I do want to make the public statement that I support the rights, of all of our students, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, religious identity, racial identity. And just because one of us or more defends the rights of some of those people or some of those groups doesn't mean that they are opposing the rights of other groups of people. This is not a zero-sum game, and we shouldn't accept that framing. But thank you, CJ, for engaging.
So to follow up on that, I did share with CJ the NJSBA disclosure statement, which I will share with everybody else on the board as well, just to make it very clear that when you are, as a public figure, making a comment, that it's very clear that it is your own. So I'll be sure to share that with the rest of the board. And at this point then, I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brendan. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, we're adjourned.